We were 7 girls in the family and 1 boy. And this boy was the last born. The fellow villagers kept on laughing at my father. I started asking myself, I said, is it a crime to be born a girl? So it was from that time I declared anything that a man can do, I can also do it.
In South Korea, everyone is entitled to have a dream, which is a huge difference from North Korea. You may say it is heaven and hell.
We are still very young. Every country, needs a lot of years to get the old bad stuff out and, change it for something which is better or good.
If I make a decision and if it's not the best one, then I'm the one who is gonna suffer. So this was the tough part that I didn't think before.
We have 3 children and we have to make efforts for their sake. We fight for them, to give them something better, to give them a better future.
A better future. That's a goal all of these people, indeed all of us, have in common. In a moment, we'll share one of their remarkable human stories of survival, triumph, and a life in transition. This is also a story of a nation transforming itself in ways that are allowing people to rise out of poverty and take control of their own future. From Zambia to South Korea, from Slovakia to Chile, newfound economic freedom is changing lives. I'm Johan Norberg, and I've been studying economic freedom for decades. What is it? And what impact does it have on people's lives? In the last 100 years, the world has created more wealth, reduced poverty more, and increased life expectancy more than in the 10,000 years before. Since the beginning of recorded history until the year 1800, the average person's income barely changed. But in the 200 years since, they increased by 2,000%. How did that happen? And what role did economic freedom play? Economic freedom is not about numbers and charts and graphs. No, it's really about people. People who want the opportunity to work hard, to become self-sufficient and independent, and to improve their quality of life. Our story begins in a divided land. Until the end of World War II, North and South Korea were one nation, one culture. Today, they are 2 drastically different countries. Dae Sung Kim knows both.
When I escaped from North Korea, I was 27. I crossed the Jangbaekhyun River into China. There were too many North Korean security guards patrolling there. So I walked the mountain trails at night with no food for a week. I went hiding during the day and walked the trails at night again.
In desperation, Dae Sung Kim fled North Korea. He had been trading goods across the border in China to provide for his parents and siblings, and had learned he was on a watch list for illegal trading. His life was in danger. He and his younger sister would have to flee. In the dark of the night, they crossed into China.
I was not without fear. It was the fear of getting caught and eventually getting shot to death if brought back to North Korea, and the fear of punishment to my family.
Defectors who are caught and returned to North Korea face imprisonment, torture, and often execution. Nearly 3,000 North Koreans escape to the south each year.
I brought my younger sister with me. Unfortunately, in China we were separated. While I was away, someone kidnapped her. After losing my sister, I came to South Korea alone.
Dae Sung hoped he could do more to find his sister from the safety of the south.
When I first arrived in South Korea, I worked for a delivery service before enrolling in Hankuk University.
While studying at the university, Dae Sung received a call from South Korean authorities. His younger sister had been found.
우리 북한의 한 마을에 살던 사람이
My younger sister had managed to escape to South Korea. She told me that our older sister had also escaped and was living somewhere in China. So I arranged to bring my older sister here to South Korea too.
One of the most repressive regimes in the world today, North Korea has maintained an aggressive policy of international isolation. A leading scholar on North Korea is Andrei Lankov.
It's a very simple story in North Korea. It began as a Stalinist country, and in the late 50s it decided to become hyper-Stalinist. They developed an economic model which Joseph Stalin himself would probably find somewhat excessive. Everything was rationed. The government decided how much grain or soy sauce or cloth you should consume, depending on your place in the official hierarchy. This economy did not work. And when the Chinese and Russians stopped providing aid in the early 1990s, the North Korean economy essentially collapsed.
The regime was unable to adapt. They could no longer provide the food on which its people had depended. Famine was widespread. It is estimated that at least 500,000 and possibly as many as 3 million North Koreans starved to death.
There were times when I went without food for a whole week. During those days, my only dream was to eat a stomachful. When I came to South Korea, I saw food was plentiful. Nobody seemed to care about eating a stomachful. They have other dreams instead.
How did this incredible contrast between North and South Korea come to be? For centuries, North and South were one unified country, living under the shadow of its three larger neighbors, Russia, China, and Japan. In 1910, Japan claimed the Korean peninsula for itself and went on to occupy the region for 35 years. When Japan was defeated at the end of World War II, Korea was finally liberated by the Allies. But there were two visions of a post-war Korea: a Soviet vision of a centrally planned economy to oversee the North, and an American vision of free enterprise to restructure the South. Eventually, the peninsula was split in two. Tensions remained high, culminating in the Korean War from 1950 to 1953.
Most of the fighting was actually done on the South Korean side. A lot of it was destroyed. All of the industry that had been built up, that was all leveled.
Everything you can see has been built over the last few decades, and it began absolutely from scratch. It was a country of unpaved road, ox carts, and thatched roofs just 40 or 50 years ago.
For years following the war, South Korea was governed by a series of military dictators. The country languished in poverty. Then, in 1961, a new dictator came to power. General Park Chung-hee wanted to grow Korean industry and engineered nationwide economic liberalization.
For the first time in Korean history, private property rights were truly protected. He liberalized markets more than they had ever been before.
It made South Korean economy to explode, grow very rapidly. In some year, rate of increase of per capita income was more than 12%. The average growth was almost 9% per year. It was incredible.
As South Korea developed its market economy, demands for legitimate political rights erupted. South Korea's first non-military president was sworn into office in 1992.
If we look at history, a great deal of economic success stories happened under control of the authoritarian governments. Once modern economy starts to grow, it produces middle class. It produces people who are independent-minded, who don't want to be bossed around by a guy in the presidential palace or royal palace, who sooner or later begin to demand political participation. This is what happened in South Korea. It was a country of subsistence farmers. It was transformed in 30 years, in one generation, into extremely well-educated country of skilled workers, of professionals, of university students. And these people did not say thank you to the dictators. They said enough.
Political democracy does not always guarantee economic freedom. Very often, the majority of the people want big government. Majority of the people want to tax the rich people and redistribute it among themselves. The name of that sentiment is the economic democracy. It's not economic freedom. So we have to be very careful about the political democracy in order to protect economic freedom.
After completing his university degree, Dae Sung Kim built a venture capital company with a focus on small businesses run by fellow refugees from the north.
The North Korean defectors have no relatives in the south. They are mostly single and have no property. So borrowing money is the hardest thing for them, and also the most important thing.
Dae Sung meets regularly with various owners to discuss business issues, cultural differences, and basic moral support. North Korean refugees have many challenges. They often change their names in order to avoid arrest and reprisals to their relatives who are still living in the north. Then they find they are not so easily integrated into the south. Ok Boon and her family escaped from North Korea 2 years ago.
I escaped with my husband, myself, and 2 sons. Mr. Kim helped us with loans. That was how we got started.
We figured that the plastic recycling business has a better competitive edge than other businesses. So we decided to take a risk by loaning them money.
By no means is plastic recycling an easy business. My body aches all over. It is hard work. We hope to be in a situation to transfer an established factory to my son in the future.
Young Gum fled North Korea with her family in 2008.
There was hardship in the beginning. A lack of capital was one thing. It's been almost a year now. We went through hard times, but we learned a lot.
Just being here like this is a dream. In North Korea, survival itself was too tough. So I never dreamed of such things as I now have.
I expect that someday North Korea will open her doors. When it does happen, the former North Korean defectors will be experienced business people backed with funds. Then we'll be able to play our roles in the reconstruction of North Korea.
Dae Sung's venture capital company has funded 29 small businesses to date.
My sisters are all engaged in running a business of their own. We all want to visit our parents' gravesite someday and want to play a role in helping North Korea become a wonderful country.
In my years researching this topic, I've seen example after example where people's lives have improved for the better because they had economic freedom. It may be the most powerful force I know for empowering people and creating conditions for poverty reduction and national prosperity. For Dae Sung Kim, economic freedom has presented the opportunity to serve his fellow North Korean refugees who are building a new life in a new country. These people are the heroes of our time, working hard to transform their lives and their communities. For them, economic freedom is not some academic concept or economic abstraction. It's food on their tables. It's a future for their children. It's the ability to enjoy the fruits of their labor. And ultimately, it's the power that we all desire to control our own lives.